Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Good 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. I'm Morganne Judd. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, we take an inside look at URI Scuba Diving class, profile women in sports, visit Joan Tewkesbury Q&A, and learn new federal updates. And of course, Ryan Pellilo will have all things Rhody athletics covered in this week's Rhody Sports Corner. For our top story, have you heard of URI Scuba Diving Certificate course? Kat Sheridan spoke with the Scuba Diving International Certified Instructors about this certificate. Here's Kat with more information.
I'm here at the Tuttle Physical Education Center to learn more about URI's scuba diving class.
We teach a number of classes here at the University of Rhode Island. The class that you're seeing here today is AFS 270. It's what we call our Introduction to Scientific Diving, and it is the basic open water scuba diving level certification. This class has been around for decades. We also have a complete research diving program, and we also have a number of courses towards supporting that as well. So in this class, AFS 270, students are learning how to become scuba divers. So they're starting with no experience, usually up until becoming qualified scuba divers. The certification goes to 60 feet deep, and it is good for life. It is a lifetime certification if all standards and requirements are met. And so what we really emphasize in this class is not only learning how to utilize the scuba equipment, not only becoming comfortable in it, but how to do so safely and proficiently in the easiest way for people. So from getting in and out of the water, how to comfortably swim with all this equipment on, and be able to manage or troubleshoot any issues that may pop up. And we are honored to be able to be here and to support students in their skills for future marine-related degrees.
I'm Kat Sheridan, the 5 Cent Cigar.
Thanks, Kat. In 2024, a new club was formed at the University of Rhode Island, geared towards the inclusion and representation of women in the sports media field. Their name is Women in Sports. Casey Chan-Smutko spoke with members of Women in Sports to learn the club's importance.
I'm Casey Chan-Smutko with the Good 5 Cent Cigar. For Women's History Month, I will be highlighting the Women in Sports Club. Here's Grace Diorak with the information about the club. So how was the Women in Sports Club formed?
So the Women in Sports Club, it was formed last semester in the fall. A few of my friends in the sports media department, mainly Bridget Locke, she just wanted to find a way for all women who support sports, are involved in sports, just want to see women in sports fields grow. And she basically gathered a few of the girls in the sports media department, myself, Nora Kelly, and Emma Roberts, as the executive board for the club. And we just kind of all worked together to create a welcoming space for all people to talk about women in sports, different games going on. We've had different guest speakers, stuff like that.
What's your message?
Our message is just, we are a very welcoming community. We just want anyone to join. We just want you to feel as comfortable as possible when you come into our club. It's a very open space. So just be yourself, be confident. We welcome everyone to just talk about whatever they're feeling and just keep it a very open environment.
This has been Casey Chan-Smutko with the Good 5 Cent Cigar. Back to you.
Thanks, Casey. Popular American director and screenwriter Joan Tewkesbury was welcomed at the URI campus Robert J. Higgins Welcome Center last Friday. The session included a screenwriting workshop and a Q&A for students. Here's Stephen Russo on the scene.
My name is Stephen Russo, and today we're going to be going to the Robert J. Higgins Welcome Center, where the URI Harrington School of Film and Media is going to be hosting a Q&A session with 1970s filmmaker Joan Tewkesbury, best known for her works on Nashville and Old Boyfriends, a couple of notable films from the 1970s. Miss Tewkesbury spent the majority of the evening speaking with URI film students, giving clarity to her experiences working in the industry. She gave light to her works in weekly television and cooperating with other directors and producers, and at the end of the night, she held a Q&A for all students in attendance. Oh, tell me about your experience.
It was great. It was really cool to meet someone that's been in the industry for so long and made such as impactful films as she has. It was really cool, just to hear her perspective. You see these people on TV or, pictures of them or in interviews, but to hear them actually through a normal conversation, humanizes them and makes you feel like, you could be in that position too if you work hard enough.
What was your experience like today?
Oh, it was fantastic. Fantastic questions, fantastic responses from Ms. Tewkesbury. I've been a fan of her work for a long time, so it was a thrill to see her in person, and the response from the audience.
All right, so I noticed you went up there and asked a question. What was the question that you asked?
That's right. According to IMDb and other online sources, she has a small uncredited role in the Howard Hawks film, Man's Favorite Sport. Looked it up online. It seems like the only places I found this was like IMDb citing Wikipedia, then you go to Wikipedia and it's Wikipedia citing IMDb. So I figured I've got to go to the source and find out the truth. Turns out it was a different Joan Tewkesbury.
It was really great. She is a very sweet, very seasoned veteran.
For more information on events being hosted by the URI Harrington School of Film and Media, be sure to follow their Instagram at URI Harrington School. From inside Ranger Hall at URI, I'm Stephen Russo. Back to you.
Thanks, Stephen. Now we'll hand it off to Casey Chan-Smutko with this week's Federal Order Update.
I'm Casey Chan-Smutko, your Federal Order reporter with the Good 5 Cent Cigar. For this week's report, I'll be discussing the update about potential federal government shutdown and how it affects URI. On March 13th, the URI communications team sent out an email informing the community about a potential federal government shutdown. The shutdown includes Department of Education cuts, impact on student aid, existing grants for research, visas, and passports. The Trump administration made cuts to the Department of Education across the U.S. on March 11th. According to the email, URI is working to understand how it will affect faculty and students. As for potential shutdown, the main impact is federal funding. URI receives the money for research and student financial aid. Fortunately for students, financial aid would have limited impact as it already has been dispersed for the current term. Also, visas and passports shouldn't have a direct impact, only the process of obtaining them would take longer than usual. However, salaries for existing research grants would be limited or end altogether. For grant funding, there are 2 past cigar articles with in-depth information. This has been Casey Chan-Smutko with the Good 5 Cent Cigar. Back to you.
Thanks, Casey. Looking ahead, here's what's going on next week at URI. On Tuesday from 2 to 4 p.m., URI will be heading to the Rhode Island State House for its URI Day. The event will include interactive exhibits for students to participate in, as well as showcasing URI student work. Come share your Rhody pride at the Capitol. Check your email for further details. With that, I'll hand it off to Ryan Pellilo with this week's Rhody Sports Corner.
Thanks, Morganne. Hello and welcome to the Rhody Sports Corner, your place for all the latest updates across URI athletics. I'm Ryan Pellilo. The baseball team fell to George Washington at home on Saturday in the second game of a 3-game series. Here is Gerard Villemenay on the scene.
In game number 2 in a series against George Washington University, the University of Rhode Island's Rams baseball team fell to George Washington 8-7, while also the Revolutionaries snapped the Rams' 9-game win streak. Rhode Island had a strong momentum heading into the bottom of the 4th inning, where they led 7-2 over George Washington. The Revolutionaries were able to climb back into the game as Rhode Island gave up 6 unanswered runs throughout the rest of the game.
Tough one today. I mean, we worked pretty hard in the beginning of the game and then kind of let it fall out of hand in the last couple of innings there.
Despite the loss, Rhode Island was still looking forward to the final game of the series against George Washington.
I'm feeling good. I mean, our hitters are hitting. I mean, we're getting the start out of there in pretty good time every time, so we're able to get to the bullpen and keep hitting, keep getting runners on and scoring. So I'm totally confident. I think we definitely got this for tomorrow.
The Revolutionaries won this series 2-1 as they narrowly escaped the final game 10-9, dropping Rhode Island's record to 13-10 and 4-2 in conference play. Reporting from the inside of Bill Beck Field, my name is Gerard Villemenay, Rhody Sports Corner.
Thanks, Gerard. Now for our Rhody Athlete of the Week. Softball's third-year catcher, Kylie Bulinski, earned the honors. Michael Petraske has the story.
For this week's Rhody Athlete of the Week, we're covering Kylie Bulinski, a third-year catcher for the Rhody softball team who's having a career best year.
Bulinski leads the Rams in just about every major offensive statistic.
but head coach Mike Coots isn't surprised by her rise at all.
Well, I think she's very open to learning and getting better, and she works a lot with Emily, our hitting coach, and they go with occasion work on specific things. And I think for her, she doesn't ride the emotional roller coaster of I hit good and then I didn't hit good. She's the same all the time. She competes all the time.
Coots also talked about how Bulinski has developed into a leader this season, with a majority of the team being underclassmen.
Well, I think just her personality makes it so that people look up to her, and she's always in the game. She plays hard, she works hard.
Bulinski stressed the importance of her relationship with the pitchers, while also mentioning how she maintains each relationship.
I live with a pitcher. We do a really good job with communication. I am always in constant communication with the pitcher, like what can I do better out there, and what do you need less of me, more of me, that kind of thing. Just really the biggest thing I can say out of a pitcher is open communication.
Bulinski is from Beacon Hills, Connecticut, a 2-hour drive from campus. She talked about why she decided to come to URI and how her family has still supported her despite the distance between them.
I've always wanted to go to college far away until the whole recruiting process happened. I had committed here, and I knew I wanted to originally be far away from home where my parents aren't going to be around me all the time. They're here at every home series, my whole family is, and that's one of my biggest things.
For the Rhody Sports Corner, I'm Michael Petraske.
Thanks, Mike. Now we're going to take a look at some of the other scores around campus. Starting with women's tennis, who took down George Washington 4-0 on Saturday, before beating George Mason 4-0 on Sunday. The baseball team went on the road to face Quinnipiac on Tuesday, where they lost 9-8. The softball team kept busy, matching up against Dayton 3 times over the weekend, where they lost the series 2-1. They then split a doubleheader on Tuesday against Providence, losing the first game 10-1 and winning the second 5-4. Women's lacrosse traveled down to Davidson on Saturday, where they fell to the Wildcats 18-7. They then returned home to beat George Washington 17-12 on Wednesday. The golf team competed in the Golden Horseshoe Intercollegiate earlier this week, where they finished 3rd of 13 teams. And lastly, women's track and field traveled to Orlando, Florida over the weekend, where they competed in the Black and Gold Invitational. That's all for this week's edition of the Rhody Sports Corner. To stay updated with all things URI athletics, follow us on X at @cigar_sports. Back to you, Morganne.
Thanks, Ryan. That's all we have for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us here and on Instagram at Rhody Cigar and pick up our print paper anywhere on campus to stay up to date with all your Rhody news. You can find us online at rhodycigar.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Morganne Judd. This is the Good 5 Cent Cigar Newscast, and as always, have a great week, Rhody.